Hello again. Welcome to the frontier at Four Corners. The full lifting of the Spanish restrictions on Gibraltar in a few minutes' time marks the end of the latest blockade on the Rock and the start of a new phase in Spain's claim to sovereignty over Gibraltar. From 1969 to the present, we've been under siege, both economically and politically, from our Spanish neighbours. Spain's infancy democracy has changed the situation somewhat in that, in an EEC context, she's had to revise the closed border situation. She still clings viciously to her claim of the total territorial integration of Gibraltar into Spain and, inherent with that, sovereignty. Britain's riposte, as you've just heard from Sir Geoffrey Howe, the Foreign Minister, and earlier from His Excellency the Governor, is that she will stand by the preamble to the 1969 Constitution to honour the wishes of the people of Gibraltar. The democratic process of talks between Howe and Moran starts tomorrow. Sir Joshua Hassan is there in Geneva as part of the British delegation to defend our rights with Britain. Sir Joshua, of course, has expressed reservations about the sovereignty issue. The key to the gates is in the hands of the civil governor of the province of Cádiz, Señor Mariano Baquedano. He'll be assisted in his task by Señor Villarreal from the Ministry of External Affairs. That key could mean the beginning of the economic recovery of Gibraltar through tourism, but it could also mean the loss of our identity as Gibraltarians. Only time and discussion will tell. It's been reported that a busload of tourists is already waiting at the other side of the frontier. The queue of commercial vehicles is building up to come through tomorrow morning. There's been a suggestion that one lorry is carrying new motor vehicles for Gibraltar and that another a vast quantity of toilet paper. A rare combination. We're now going to join our other reporter at the east gate to the frontier, and we move over to George Garcia.
Thank you very much, David, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, once again. The time I make it is just coming up to 7 minutes to the hour of midnight, which means that in approximately 7 minutes these gates behind me should be swung open and the frontier should open fully as it really should. Now, through these gates most of the traffic travelling into Spain will have to pass. I say most because goods vehicles, of course, will use a different gate away to my left, which is on the far eastern side of the border fence, and coaches and other large vehicles will use yet another gate to the left of this gate. However, for the majority of Gibraltarians who will be travelling into Spain in their cars, these gates behind me are the gates they'll be passing through. Now, the gate is situated at the entrance to what was used to be known as the Loop car park. The car park, or the Loop rather, was created when the Lisbon Agreement was going to be implemented, but when this implementation failed to materialise, and when instead, 2 years ago, the partial pedestrian opening of the frontier took place, the area became a car park, and a car park it has remained until this last week, when it has reverted to its original purpose, which is as a holding area for cars. Cars will queue up there in rows of 4, and the loop itself has a capacity to hold 300 cars. At the moment there are 4 cars waiting to go into Spain. The first car has people of several nationalities in it. The second car has the first Gibraltarians who will cross the frontier. They are the Camilleri and Tudela families. And the third car, making it a truly international evening, holds a Moroccan family. Now we're just going to walk over there now and speak to some of the occupants in the first car.
No es posible.
Okay, we're here now at the first car, which is going to be the first car to cross. I've just got a company in the shopping.
Faltan 3 minutos en este momento. Estamos al otro lado de la vereda.
Okay.
Yeah, just Actually, David, I'm in a unique situation. Also.
Well, we're very sorry indeed. We seem to have lost all sound from George at that moment. One of our cables was inadvertently pulled out of its socket by some over-enthusiastic journalists. But here we are back at the gate where cars are going to start coming through in just a moment. Again, apologies for any breaks through you may be hearing, but that's of course coming from the police intercoms trying to keep the vast controls down here at North Front under control. I can hear from here the songs of the Blind Porth Male Voice Choir. They've come down here to sing Welsh tunes for us, songs like Land of My Fathers and We'll Keep a Welcome in the Hillside for all the people who've congregated down here at the frontier gates. And here we see now a grand plan view of all the journalists waiting for that special moment which is just 2 minutes away, an end to 16 years of siege, where only until 2 years ago have we been able to go over to Spain across the land frontier with our neighbours in Europe. The scene here mounting in excitement as the hour approaches. Midnight, 4th into the 5th as promised in the Brussels Agreement. On the other side of the frontier, as you can see, a great crowd of Spanish journalists, international journalists. We've heard the languages of Japan, Austria, Switzerland, Germany. They're all here waiting for this very special and historic moment in the history of Gibraltar. Another page turns in that great book of our 300-year-old history. The police have had a tremendous job in controlling the vast numbers that have come from within our own city walls to join us down here to watch the final few moments before we build up to the opening of the frontier in just a few moments' time. Radio Gibraltar, of course, very strongly represented down here by Richard Cartwright and Ken Anthony, who are doing their best to describe the scene from far nearer than I am at the moment. A camera creeping in slowly, the lights are flashing, and here they come. Here come the two gentlemen who are going to unlock the future of Gibraltar, that future that has been hanging fire for 16 years since the gates were closed by Franco finally in 1969. Moments of doubt from the Gibraltar side. Moments of elation. A great cry goes up, British. Señor Mariano Baquedano, I beg your pardon, Baquedano, the civil governor of the province of Cádiz, unlocking the gate. He's assisted by Señor Villarreal from the Ministry of External Affairs. They seem to be having a little trouble, or they're giving the Spanish journalists an action replay. And it is 24 seconds past midnight, and somebody else has come up to try and have a go. Did they forget to oil it? The bolt is back, the lights are flashing, and the gates are open. An historic moment in the history of Gibraltar. The land frontier open now to all categories of citizens of the world. No longer is Gibraltar an island. The drifts of people moving towards the open gates, people moving through, journalists struggling for position to try and get the best photographs. as they surge forward, a great mass of people to greet each other across that prison gate, as it has been all these years. So now the discussions begin. Discussions between Great Britain and Spain, at which our own Chief Minister is going to be very much present, safeguarding with Britain the rights and the wishes of the people of Gibraltar as enshrined in the 1969 Constitution. Policemen shaking hands across the now opened land bridge between Gibraltar and Spain. The Blind Porth male voice choir singing Cum Ronda in the background. Guide me, O thou great Redeemer. God's hand must be guiding us at this time. So there we are. It has happened. That great moment we've waited for so long. The waiting is over. It's going to prove very difficult for the first car to come through. And there we see the first car going out, a Gibraltar car. I can't quite make the registration out from this distance. The first
Hello,
of the
David.
cars. Ah, George is back. Delighted to say you're back with us, George.
Right.
45512, the first car through from
Quite
Gibraltar
right.
to Spain, and a far quicker job he's having than they are coming through from the other side. To you, George.
Yes, thank you very much, David. That's right, 45512, and it is a mixed bag in that car. There are a group of ladies from France, Switzerland and the United States. They're resident in Gibraltar, and they've been the first people across the frontier, but the people coming just after them...
And I'm afraid George's microphone has got...
The people coming
There we are.
straight
You
after...
stay there, George. Stay there.
Right. The people coming straight after them are the first Gibraltarian family, which will cross the frontier, and I'm just going to have a word with a couple of them here. Hello, what's your name, sir?
Camilleri.
Mr. Camilleri. Why did you want to be one of the first to cross the frontier?
Well, I don't know. I would like to be the first.
Where will you be going this evening?
With your family.
To see your family. You've got your family in Spain.
Yes.
And are you happy that the frontier is going to open fully?
Of
It's
course.
open fully.
Yes, I'm happy.
What do you think how this will affect your life?
I don't know.
Will you be going over now regularly at weekends, etc.?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Camilleri. So that there...
There's George fighting his way through cars and journalists, ladders, and a microphone that's being interfered with through no fault of our own, I'm sad and glad to say, rather. Let me just tell you that now we're back with the main gate, the gate that has been the talking gate, as it has been called so many times. The families holding up their young children for grandparents to see them on the other side of the frontier, and there it is now, open. Our gates always open, as they have remained open from the very beginning. They were closed at the usual times, and we're moving back now to George with the next of our cars, and again we can't hear him, unfortunately. So George, I'm very sorry.
Hello,
about
David.
You're there now.
I'm
Stay in
through
that
again.
position. Marvellous.
Right. I'm here with the third car in the queue, which again, it's a truly international evening. This is a Moroccan family. Again, another first. Buenos días. Sé que usted no habla inglés.
Habla español.
¿Por qué quiere usted ser el primer familia marroquí en cruzar la frontera?
Eso yo esperando hace tiempo esperando la frontera. Cuando abre yo quería salir primero. Yo me gusta España como en Marruecos igual. Y Gibraltar también.
¿Te hará mucha diferencia su vida en libertad?
No, bueno, la diferencia está bien, no mal.
Muchas gracias. So there we had the comments of the first Moroccan to cross the frontier with his wife. He was telling us, for the benefit of our English viewers, that he has always wanted to go across to Spain. All the time he's been working in Gibraltar, and now he's very happy to be able to do so. So David, what are things like on your end?
Well, we'll say shukran, salidati wa sadati to those kind people who've moved through from that side of the frontier, the east gate moving into Spain, and we're back. The gate from Spain into Gibraltar, and there you see the surge of journalists, people still moving through. It might be interesting to learn that visas are required to enter Gibraltar unless the following are in direct transit through Gibraltar. Most of the countries fall behind the Iron Curtain. I'll just tell you about them. Albania, China, East Germany, Mongolia, Romania, Argentina, Cuba, Hungary, North Korea, United Soviet States of Russia, the Yemen, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Libya, Poland, Vietnam, and any stateless people who may care to come through. They will all need visas, except of course if they are in transit through Gibraltar. Another interesting thing that you might care to remember is that no animals, pets or livestock, except those imported directly from the United Kingdom, are allowed into Gibraltar. There are no quarantine facilities available here, and that's for the benefit of those of our viewers on the Costa del Sol who might be thinking in terms of bringing their pets over. Leave them at home or with a friend. Don't bring them through into Gibraltar because you won't be allowed to do that. Well, here the pace is hotting up once again. We're on the other side with George Garcia on the east gate moving through.
Yes, David.
They seem to be moving through a lot faster there than they are here at the moment, George.
Well, David, what's happened is that there have been 6 cars in the queue here. 3 of them assembled from very early this evening, and the other 3 have just recently arrived. We already heard from the first 3 people who went through, and another couple of families have gone through. And the final car in the queue, at least at the moment, a white van with full of children and obviously a full family going through into Spain, happy that the restrictions have finally been lifted and that they're able to spread their wings a little into the neighbouring country.
And you mentioned earlier on, before your communications were so rudely interrupted by someone's foot, that there was a truly international van load or car load of people going through. I saw a Swiss flag, a French flag, a Gibraltar flag and an American flag. What story was behind that, George?
Yes, indeed, David. What happened there was that there were 4 young ladies. One was French, 2 were American, and the 4th was Swiss. And indeed, they were all in costume. One was dressed as a clown, and the others were in national costume and carrying their flags. And they were, as I was trying to speak to them when I was interrupted.
Well, George, I've just noticed that the red and white barrier at the far end of our side of the frontier is up. There it's just gone up. The red and white barrier controlling the traffic from the Avenida San Felipe on the other side is up, and the first vehicle to come through looks like a motor scooter. A gentleman has braved the elements, braved the crowds, and is moving through on his little Vespa. He's probably heard the saying, "Go by Lambretta, see the world better." And here comes our first vehicle, apart from those that have been allowed through for reasons known to the authorities, of course. The first vehicle in the shape of a Lambretta to move through into Gibraltar, the first vehicular crossing from Spain onto British soil. And I think, George, it might be an idea for you to dash over here as quickly as possible.
I'm on my way, David.
And something that maybe they've overlooked is that they're not going to be allowed to drive through the streets of Gibraltar without their crash helmets. So unless somebody is going to very quickly produce a couple of crash helmets for them. Oh, they've got them. They're hanging down the side. I've just noticed they're hanging down the sides. They have decided to bring their crash helmets through with them. There are those crash helmets. Through the vehicle lost in the crowd, the cameramen pouring over that first vehicle to come into Gibraltar. Behind it, a car. It's very difficult. Champagne corks popping around. People obviously in a jubilant mood and a very expensive smell of cigar smoke wafting in the air. Here comes that second vehicle now. Champagne being poured over the car by jubilant journalists and others. The lights, the cameras, they're being treated better than on the opening night of the big film in Hollywood. And the cars are pouring through. One should perhaps temper that and say dribbling through, because they're not really being allowed to move very fast. The crowds on this side being controlled perfectly by our police force, as is being done reciprocally on the Spanish side by the Policía Nacional. And here are the scenes for you. Already 11 minutes into February the 5th. They've put their crash helmets on. There they are.
Hello, David.
Hello, George. Where are you now?
Yes, just trying to get out of the way of the motorcycle.
That's it. You try and talk to them.
It's just pulling my lead. Perdone usted es la primera persona en cruzar la verja en motocicleta. ¿Por qué ha venido usted a Gibraltar?
Porque era una de mis máximas ilusiones, venía aquí además en Vespa.
¿Y está usted contento de estar aquí?
Por supuesto que sí.
¿Qué es lo que espera usted ver, encontrar en Gibraltar?
Hombre, pues un cariño, ¿no?, que tenemos entre los dos pueblos, ¿no?
¿Cree que la apertura total de la verja será beneficioso para ambos lados?
Creo que sí, ¿no?
Muchas gracias por su palabra. David, we were hearing there from the first person to cross the frontier. That was on a Vespa motorbike, as you were saying, and he was explaining that he had always wanted to come to Gibraltar and was very happy to do so. We'll see now if I can make my way towards the second person through.
Try and beat the crush, brother.
Right, thanks.
So while George tries and grabs the second load of visitors who've driven through from the Spanish side, these are the pictures on GBC television. George, you've managed to contact
David,
them.
hello.
I've been waiting till 5, you know.
Sorry.
I've been waiting since 5.
And are you Gibraltarian?
Yes, I am.
Why did you want to be first across?
I don't know, just to be the first one.
Have any trouble with the Spanish customs?
No, I haven't.
Any trouble with the Gibraltarian customs? Bringing anything in, sir?
Sorry?
Bringing anything into Gibraltar?
Okay, David, that's it.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's the second car, the first Gibraltarians coming back in a hired car, funnily enough.
Yes, I noticed there was a very large advertising campaign going on the bonnet of his car.
Yes, indeed.
The car moving through. See if you can grab the next one, George, and find out what reasons they had for wanting to be amongst the first. I didn't actually get
Speak English.
No, sorry.
Here's a family of mixed people from Gibraltar and Spain.
Marvellous.
Great. What's your name?
My name is Mari Trivigno.
Mari Trivigno. And your family live in La Linea?
No, well, my family live in La Linea. I'm married to a Spanish man, you know. My husband is Spanish. He's from La Linea. But I've got my family in La Linea. My parents are Gibraltarians.
Have you been waiting long to come through the frontier?
Well, about 1 hour.
And you're very happy that the front is open?
Very happy because now the two families can be together. I hope it's for all the best.
Thank you very much. Okay, David, those were the words of the third car through and a mixed bag. Now the cars are really beginning to come through.
There you are, best wishes of peace and goodwill. That was a truly family car. The two different nations intermarried, bringing thoughts of peace and goodwill.
And here comes another Gibraltar car, David.
Well, let's see who's in that one, because I understand they have been waiting for some considerable time.
Hello, you from Gibraltar?
Yes.
Are you happy that the front has been fully open?
Yes.
How do you think it's going to affect your life?
As long as it stays okay, it's okay with me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So there, a sole person in a Gibraltar car coming through, and there's two more cars to come through that I can see from here, though there seem to be some in the distance.
I can also see an umbrella out there. I don't know what it's for, but let's hope that it doesn't, probably to hold the champagne off rather than the rain.
It would be today, yes, David, yes indeed.
And there we have a wider view of what's going on at the frontier. People of all ages, from youngsters to grandparents, looking forward with great joy and elation to this new chapter in Gibraltar's history. And there's the champagne umbrella I was telling you about a few moments ago. Another car being swamped by journalists, just edging its way through. Very efficient dealing of documentation on the Spanish side, equally efficient on the Gibraltar side. Chief Inspector Taffy Smith inviting his officers to keep the journalists back, let the flow of traffic through.
And they have their work cut out for them, David, because it's really hectic over here. The atmosphere is quite something. There are loads of people, everybody very curious, very anxious to know exactly what is happening.
We're just as anxious to know how things are going to turn out. And there.
Right, there seems to be a bit of a lull in the proceedings. There's some more champagne flowing that I can see from here. And the next car comes through if it can get its way through the journalists, past the journalists.
And there we are. There's the umbrella. They were using it to keep the champagne off. Looks like Joni Cuello. I don't know whether it is. There's a champagne bottle being offered for a drink as the young ladies come through in an open car. Big British flag plastered onto the windscreen. Red, white and blue, I think. No, it's just red and blue. Red and blue umbrella.
It looks like something out of the cavalcade, David.
It does indeed. Wonder if you can grab a word with the young lady in the front.
Yes, indeed. Let's have a try. Nothing to declare is the sign on the windscreen, and hello, mum. Hello.
And it is Joni Cuello, another of the firsts to come through. Nothing.
Are you happy that the front has been open?
Yes, very well.
Happy to be through?
Yes.
Okay, David, that's as far as my lead will go, I'm afraid.
Nothing to declare but their beauty, I'm delighted to say. And we look forward certainly to a police officer coming to talk to us about the throng of arrangements that they've had to put together to try and organise this evening, which in the event has, I'm sure, gone a lot more smoothly than they envisaged, only because they have been very strict with journalists, very strict in crowd control. That is the only way to keep things flowing smoothly as they do. And there we hear hooters of joy.
David, it might be interesting to note that no more cars for the moment are going through the other gate into Spain. Apart from the 6 cars that went through initially, we're having quite a flow of cars coming this way, but none the other way. And here we have yet another Gibraltar car. Of course, quite a few went over after the pedestrian opening. And let's have a word with some of the occupants. Hello. Hello. What's your name? So they've been waved on by police, been unable to speak to them, but the flow of cars is continuing.
Well, around the scaffold where I am, George, we have young people trying to crane their necks and get an extra special view of all the proceedings. What's your name?
Justin.
Justin, have you been looking forward to this opening?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
What for?
Just get, sort of, bring stuff through, sort of thing.
You're going to be able to take your BMX and all your goods and chattels across and enjoy them in the open, wide open spaces that are promised on the other side?
Yeah.
And what about you, young man? What's your name?
Glenn Cunningham.
And Ken, what's brought you down to the frontier tonight?
Just see it opening and see cars coming through there.
You're excited at that. Of course, you wouldn't remember anything but the frontier closed up to now, would you?
No, well, I've been 3 years in Gibraltar, and I was excited when it just opened for pedestrians. And now it's open for cars tonight.
So even more exciting now. Let's see what George has in store for us as we see another Spanish car with a Gavi number plate on it.
Yes, indeed, David. I can't quite see the car yet. All I can see is a load of heads and everybody pressing forward. As you say, everybody is very anxious to see what's going on, to share in this historic moment in Gibraltar's history. And the atmosphere is really quite something. But I'm going to have a word now with one of the onlookers, just here next door. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Why have you come down to the frontier this evening?
Because I couldn't sleep.
You couldn't sleep. You wanted to share this moment.
As I did indeed, yes.
Do you think that the opening will be beneficial to Gibraltar?
In the long run? No, not in the long run.
Not in the long run. So you're not happy to see it open?
Well, I'm not unhappy. I think it has to happen, but I don't think in the long run it'll be beneficial to Gibraltar. No.
Thank you very much. Right, David, and that car still hasn't come through.
I can't help wondering why he felt that in the long run it wouldn't be beneficial for Gibraltar. Let's hope that he's proved wrong.
Yes, indeed. Let's indeed hope that. And that car is coming through now. We're all being pushed back.
A lady driver looking absolutely panic-stricken. Her eyes like a startled rabbit as she tries to push her way through the crowd.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if you can see from there, David, whether the line of cars waiting to enter Gibraltar still goes back a long way.
Well, the thing is that there are such a myriad of people stretching right the way up to the Avenida San Felipe that I can't see the cars until their headlines shine through the legs of the people who are standing in front of them.
It's quite the same from over here. In the middle of the road at the moment. I'm in danger of being run over by the next car.
I shouldn't do that. GBC wouldn't want to pay for the insurance.
Yes, I'm sure. I can see a Rolls-Royce third in the queue, making its way this way. But here's the first one, a family in a Spanish car.
Let's see if we can grab a word with them.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. Perdón, ¿es usted de España? ¿Es usted de España?
Sí, soy español.
¿Por qué ha venido de Gibraltar?
Pues para que un coche español pise el suelo de Gibraltar.
¿Qué espera usted encontrar aquí?
Amigo.
Muchas gracias. Right, a gentleman there saying that he wants to find friends in Gibraltar and very happy to come across in his Spanish car.
And here it comes. Charles, bring the rolls, but don't forget to butter them.
They'd have a problem buttering this one, David.
A British number plate. I can just make it out. It looks like DJH. I can't make out the number. It ends in a 55. And I'm afraid no descriptions of colour from me at all, because my monitor is a very small black and white job. But the car's being showered with champagne, as you've seen there. Great scenes of joy as the car comes towards you, George.
The car's actually green, David. Yes, the car is green. It hasn't got to me yet. I can just see it now as the crowd's open in front of me. A very elegant job indeed.
Are you able to talk to them, George?
I'm about to be run over by them.
Well, if you've got to go, you might as well go under the wheels of the Rolls.
Hello, where are you from?
Gibraltar, England.
You're from Gibraltar and England. Are you glad to see the frontier open? Yes. Very quickly there, just saying that they were glad to see the frontier open and to be able to bring their car back into Gibraltar. It's British number plates, but apparently they're living in Gibraltar.
I'm wondering where we're going to be able to park all these cars, George.
Well, hopefully the flow in will stop and we'll have to start with the flow out. Otherwise we're going to have problems, as you say, David.
There is, of course, a restriction on the certain types of vehicles that can pass through, which we won't go into detail now. But I can tell you that facilities at the frontier will be open as follows for vehicles and people not carrying dutiable goods, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For vehicles and people carrying goods which are dutiable, but not being transported in commercial quantities, from 8 in the morning till 9 at night, 7 days a week. And for goods being transported in commercial quantities, from 9 in the morning till 1 o'clock lunchtime, and then from 3 to 5 in the afternoon, and that's just Monday to Fridays. Other arrangements we won't bother with for the moment. And I'm delighted to mention that we've got friends of Gibraltar who've walked through Gibraltar without any need for any special derogations. Their passport did in fact have stamped on it Residente en España. They're two British subjects, Mr. and Mrs. Nicholas. Alec and Yvonne, delighted to welcome you to Gibraltar. How do you feel?
Absolutely delighted. Absolutely delighted.
How long has it taken you to get through?
We came through very quickly actually. We were in the first crowd that came through, but honestly it's so hectic. My God. It's absolutely marvellous. So exciting, isn't it?
Now you retired to Spain. You've got a house across the way at Los Alamos on the road to Cádiz near Algeciras. Has it meant a great deal to you now to know that you can pop into Gib and do your weekend shopping?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we love living in Spain very much, but I mean, there's nowhere like home, and Gibraltar to us is a little bit of England.
Apart from your home in Spain, of course.
Yes. Oh, yes, but I mean, it will definitely make such a difference to our way of life completely. There's no question about that. I mean, there's lots of things we miss. We love it here, but there's lots of things we miss, particularly the lovely shops, the stores and the food.
They're at your feet, madam. Mr. Nicholas, Alec, could you tell me about, you retired from the fire service in the United Kingdom and went to live in Spain. How does it feel to be one of the first expats, Brits, walking through the frontier into Gibraltar?
Well, I'm very hot at the moment trying to get through, but it's exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting to be here back after nearly 3 years now, and we're back in English territory, and sweating a bit having coming through the crowd.
Honestly, you come through the border and you do feel in England. It's strange, you know. It's incredible. Just coming over the border, you feel at home. You can't really describe it.
We're delighted to see you at home, and we hope that you will stay around at home. Alec and Yvonne Nicholas, thank you very much indeed.
David,
Bye-bye.
more.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
David, more families coming through, little caravans, and I can see a van coming, I think it's second in the queue now, with a load of surfboards on the top.
A load of surfboards?
Yes, indeed.
I think they'll come
windsurfers or surfboards, I'm not sure. Probably windsurfers.
They're going to come to grief if they try anything on the eastern side of the rock.
Yes, indeed.
Well, there's the scene. Cars still coming through, lights shining bright.
Right, the police now are opening the way a little more. They're pushing back onlookers. Of course, there's been such a massive turnout this evening. Loads of people coming over here to share in this event. And on the frontier itself, actually, I can see some people who have climbed up onto the pillars which support the frontier gates to get a better view from there.
I've just seen a gentleman here with a placard, if I can just grab hold of him. It says, "Hello, Mum, Carnal Family, Thornton, Yorkshire, Mandy 2, Newquay." Well done, sir. Have you come over especially for the opening?
No, I'm in the Air Force.
Oh, you're over here in the Air Force, right. Who did you hope to get that message via, the BBC?
Well, ITN mainly. I think they're the best ones.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Thanks. You back with goodies then, George?
Yes, I'm just waiting for a moment for this van with the surfboards to come through, or the windsurfers. They're next in the line, and hopefully when they come through I'll be able to grab them for a moment and have a short word with them, because they are pushing the traffic through very quickly on this end because there's such a long line. At the moment they seem to be held up momentarily at the Spanish side of the immigration control.
28 minutes past midnight, and the cars still pouring through.
Yes, indeed, it looks as though it's going to go on all night.
And a rather precarious position taken up by some photographers and young people on top of the cabin, inside which are Ken Anthony and Richard Cartwright giving a radio commentary about what's going on right at the frontier gates. I hope we don't have an Anthony sandwich on our hands before the afternoon is through, or the evening's through. And the Mayor of Gibraltar and Mrs. Surfety just moving up along the road. We've just seen them. More cars still trying to get through, and there are those surfboards George was describing for you.
Yes, indeed, and it might be interesting to comment as well, David. The job being done by our local customs officers. They're greeting each car as it comes through. They're going through the goods to declare or nothing to declare lanes. Unfortunately, at the moment they all have to go through the goods to declare, because the nothing to declare lane is totally taken up by onlookers. But they're having a look and speaking with the occupants of each car and keeping the flow of traffic going.
And there we see the gentleman.
Here come the windsurfers. I can see Gibraltar passports, and let's see if we can have a word. Hello. Nope, they've
Much
been
a case of
pushed
hello,
the car
goodbye.
through. Yes, wasn't able to get them. They've come through on the crest of a wave, David.
Indeed. They've got wind in their sails and they're not stopping for anyone. Another car lined up. The next to come through. And in fact, there's a gentleman with me. What's the scene like on the other side of the frontier? Has it been very busy there?
Yes, it's packed, absolutely packed with people. You just hardly move.
You decided not to bring your car through, I understand. Where have you left it?
Mine's in La Linea. Yes.
Why did you think it best to leave it there?
Well, first of all, I haven't got the green card insurance.
I'm glad you brought that up, because not many people, I think, realise that they do have to have full green card insurance cover before they come into Gibraltar, as is the case for Gibraltar cars going into Spain. How long do you think it is before you will bring your car in?
Well, I understand Gibraltar has a parking problem, so I should probably leave it there and use the transport in Gibraltar.
You've got any friends in Gibraltar who'll be able to help you?
Yes, I've got quite a lot, yes.
Thank you very much. George, how are things on your side?
Yes, David, still the traffic flowing through. It's being waved through by police very quickly. I'm just going to have a word now with another of the onlookers. Excuse me, sir. Why have you come here this evening?
Oh, I'm a journalist, so I have to see it and to report it home. I'm from Germany.
You're from Germany?
Yeah.
And do you know a lot about the situation here?
Oh, yes, sure. I have been here before, 1 year ago, when the elections were. And, my paper is quite interested in the situation. Gibraltar is in Germany quite a popular spot, and we think that a lot of Germans will come here as well. You know, we have a lot of German tourists down here. I think down in the south we are...
They visit the Costa del Sol a lot?
Yes, sure. We are in second place after the English, but still they are very interested. And
what do you think is the attraction for a German in visiting Gibraltar?
Well, just to see Gibraltar, it wasn't possible up to now. And it's, with all this mixed population, Spanish, Moroccans, and British, and whatever, it's, and with this British atmosphere and so on, and anyhow, sightseeing and the look over the street of Gibraltar and so, it's quite interesting.
Thank you very much. I hope we'll be able to greet lots of German tourists over the next few years.
I'm sure.
Well,
thank you.
George, I've also got a rather affluent-looking gentleman in a camel hair coat, a cigar and a bottle of champagne who's kindly joined me. Sir, what's your name, please?
Mike.
How far have you come, Mike?
Well, I brought 100 people down from Marbella.
Especially for the opening tonight?
Especially for the opening tonight, although I've been coming over for the last 6 months because of my interest in Gibraltar and Spain. But tonight we're having a marvellous evening. I brought 100 people down on the coach.
And what do you hope to do for the rest of the evening?
The rest of the evening, well, I'm just going to sit back. I'm enjoying the atmosphere. It's a tremendous evening for Gibraltar and Spain. I brought champagne down with, which I brought in Gibraltar and paid duty on it. My banner's been confiscated. The police have been absolutely marvellous, the Gibraltarian police and the Spanish police, although I've been threatened with arrest about 50 times. But this is a tremendous evening.
Why was your banner confiscated?
Well, I was advertising my interest in Spain, but I also want to advertise I've got interest in Gibraltar. As you know, David, I've lived here in Spain for about 5 years. I've spent a lot of time in Gibraltar the last 6 or 7 months. I've been coming over for 2 or 3 years. And I've just set up a very, very interesting business in Gibraltar. And I think I'm in a unique situation. Of the thousands of people here, I think I'm in a unique situation where I'm a director of a Spanish restaurant, a Spanish company. I'm also the major director of a Gibraltarian company. I've got interest in the United Kingdom. I've watched with great interest the political infighting that's been going on for many, many months now, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think this opening is going to prove that it's going to be the benefit the whole of Gibraltar.
Right, David.
And Andalusia.
David, excuse me, there's another car coming through now. Mary and Joe Crowther says the name, written on the windscreen of their vehicle. Hello, excuse me, where do you live?
Plymouth.
Plymouth, and are you glad to be able to drive into Gibraltar?
Wonderful, wonderful, yes, yes.
Why do you want to come to Gibraltar?
Oh, I don't know, it's a bit of more of Britain, isn't it? Yes, yes. Sunshine as well as everything else.
Thank you very much.
There's Plymouth on wheels moving through, people patting their car and wishing them well to this little corner of Britain in the sun. More cars moving through. Ah, I recognise that face. I certainly don't recognise that whistle. George, how are you doing?
Yes, momentarily lost my equipment there. It got
nasty.
Caught. Yes, it got caught on the handle of the door of the car coming through, and I was nearly beheaded. But I'm still in one piece, I think, and still watching what seems to be from here certainly an endless line of cars extending way into La Linea.
Actually, the crowd is thinning out a little bit, so yes, we do get a better view. Police on both sides of the frontier, keeping a tight control. And here we have what looks like another British number plate, UED 6025, a sports car with an open top. One presumes that it's... I'm told it's white. Am I right, George?
No, it is a scarlet colour.
Scarlet, there we are. We've got a colourblind gentleman on the tower telling me what colours are.
Yes, indeed. It's got a badge of Italia on the bonnet, and it's driving through. Two gentlemen.
I love my something on the front.
With British passports. Indeed, it is a British car, S registration. The good old British cars coming through the frontier, one after the other. Here comes another gentleman with obviously British as well, a cap with the Union Jack on the front. See if they can come a bit nearer, we can have a couple of words with them.
That's a Malaga registration number, standing at the gates now, 4433, a nice easy number to remember.
That's the car I'm referring to, David. It's apparently occupied by English gentlemen, maybe some more expatriates from up the coast.
We'll wait until they come a little closer to you.
Yes, I'm afraid at the moment I'm trapped in this position.
Very little activity.
We're on my way, though.
Very little activity indeed going on as far as the East Gate is concerned, with cars hardly moving through. There doesn't seem to be much interest.
Hello, excuse me, where are you from?
We're all from London.
And are you living in Spain?
No, we're not living in Spain at all. We're here for a week's on golf.
And are you happy to be able to drive into Gibraltar?
It does make a change after 16 years of trying.
You've been trying that long?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you expect to find in Gibraltar?
We were hoping to find a golf... being a bunch of golfers, we're not sure, but there's not going to be any golfers down there.
No, a little small for that, but I hope you enjoy your stay anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, there we are. They can always enjoy themselves at the Alameda Mini Golf.
Yes, indeed, David. Nothing like that.
One car tried to plough its way through all the journalists. There were journalists leaping out of the way. They don't realise that the second gate at this point, the entry point at the moment, is going to be used for coaches only and heavy-duty vehicles a little later on. But certainly the East Gate open, but hardly any traffic flowing through there and taking advantage of the fact that they can go into Spain. They're probably holding it over until the weekend.
Yes, indeed, David. This is probably indeed also the case of the gate on the far eastern end of the border fence, which, as I was explaining at the beginning of the programme, is to be used for goods vehicles. Again, no activity obviously there at this time of night.
But they're trying. That sports car you mentioned earlier on is driving straight up the loop and is going to go round the loop and back in the other way.
So that's probably one of the shortest visits to Gibraltar.
Not leaving many pennies in Gibraltar. SF, perhaps you can enlighten me.
SF.
One could think of all sorts of permutations for that Mercedes-Benz.
Yes. I'm afraid I haven't a clue, David. I don't know what SF would stand for.
Short of funds, perhaps?
I hope
in a car like that.
No, hardly, yes. Or maybe short of funds after acquiring such a car.
Well, the mood here doesn't seem to have relaxed at all from the moment that frontier gate was opened. People still milling around.
Hello, David. There's a car there which has been refused entry, apparently. Maybe it doesn't have the proper insurance to come into Gibraltar. It's on the Spanish side, I should emphasize. It's been refused entry. It's a blue van. It's turned round by the Spanish police and is apparently hightailing its way back towards La Linea.
As you mentioned, no doubt they didn't do their homework before deciding to move into a different country.
And I have here another car with Spanish. ¿Habla usted inglés?
Yes, I do.
Why have you wanted to come to Gibraltar?
Well, because I think that after such a long time of the border being closed, this is the nicer thing that could happen.
Where do you live?
I live here in La Linea.
In La Linea. Do you have family in Gibraltar?
Yes, I have some relatives here.
What do you expect to find in Gibraltar?
Well, tonight, you know, nothing, but I think it's a good idea, you know, to open the border, and that is a thing that needed to be done, you know.
And do you think that the opening will benefit both sides?
Of course.
Thank you very much, sir.
In all the aspects.
Thank you.
Never mind what Mr. Bossano says, this is the best thing that could happen.
Well, thanks very much anyway. So David is certainly somebody there with his own views.
Somebody who's been listening to views from Gibraltar certainly and kept his finger on the pulse.
Yes.
I can see the back of Ken Anthony's head if that's much to talk about. There's again more cars filing through, the police on both sides doing their jobs, and the customs department certainly not short of people to talk to. Another Merc, they must be popular.
The line seems endless, doesn't it, David?
It does indeed, George.
The flow of traffic has been kept quite steady. I think it's a Seat coming through now. A couple of carnations there showing that they're entering into the spirit of the evening. Hello, excuse me. Are you from Spain?
I'm French.
You're French? Where do you live?
In Paris.
In Paris. Yeah. Are you happy to be able to drive through this border?
I hope I am the first French coming in Gibraltar.
Eh bien.
I hope. Yeah.
And what do you expect to find here?
I don't know. I look after I see you.
Right. I hope indeed we see many French people after you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
A French person there in a Spanish car. And here comes that Mercedes you were talking about. Again with a rather personalised number plate. I don't recognise where it's from. J56090.
Are you going to get an opportunity to talk with them, George?
Maybe. Hello, sir. Where are you from?
From Jersey, in the Channel Islands.
Do you live in Spain?
We have a house in Spain, yes.
And are you happy to be able to come into Gibraltar?
Well, in fact, I've been able to come over for the past 2 years on foot, but I decided to come down tonight as the border was opening, so probably first Jersey car across, actually, aren't I?
Are you happy that the frontier has been opened fully? Will it affect your life in any way?
Oh, certainly, yes. I have an office down here, and I think it'll make a hell of a difference.
Right, very pleased to see you here, and I hope you'll come again.
Two financial centres, Jersey and Gibraltar, drawing together as we now invite Inspector McGuinness to join us for a couple of words. Inspector McGuinness, how has the situation gone so far? Has it gone smoother or less smooth than you expected?
To be honest, it's been rather hectic, but fortunately everybody's in very good humour and it's gone beautifully smoothly.
How much planning went into the opening date? How did you roster all the policemen to come and do their job as efficiently as they've been doing all night?
Well, you know, in numbers we're rather a small force. It means we have to sort of bring shifts back on double duty, etc. And as for planning, they've been working on this for many, many months.
Just stop you a minute, George might be able to get hold of the ladies on the bicycles and bells.
Hello, where are you from?
Here.
You're from Gibraltar?
RAF.
Have you just cycled into Spain?
Yeah.
And you've come straight round? What's the atmosphere like on the other side?
Oh, it's really good. Brilliant. Yeah.
Tremendous. Everybody's very happy?
Yeah.
Very happy. Yeah.
All handing out flowers, everything.
It's a great
really
day
good.
for everybody. Do you think that indeed this will be a good thing for Gibraltar and the Campo area?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Will it affect your lives a lot?
Us personally as British servicemen, yeah, it's a great deal. Yeah, we have a lot more freedom. Should be a good 3 years out here for us now.
Okay, I hope you do enjoy your years indeed.
For us to end our tour, we go back soon.
Fine.
Thank you very much.
Madam.
The bicycle bells move on with flowers in their mouths, and we're still with Inspector McGuinness just below the GBC camera tower. Inspector McGuinness, we stopped you rather short. You said it was a small force. Do you envisage any problems in the long term with regard to what may happen with an increased population in Gibraltar, with an increase of tourists coming through?
It's very difficult, obviously, to forecast, but I think with organisation, planning, careful watching the situation, I think we can more than cope with it.
How much of a backup help or part of your force has the customs been with regard to the control of goods coming through?
You mean tonight or
tonight and in the future, thinking particularly of a gate open to all the problems that could come through in the shape of drugs, for instance?
Well, I know the customs department are specially trained to deal with this sort of thing, and they are very, very efficient. I haven't seen them tonight at all, believe you me, because there have been so many people down here, you can hardly even see a yard in front of you.
Inspector McGuinness, we'll let you get back to your duty because I know you're very busy, and say thank you for joining us.
Thank you, David. Good night.
There we are, a policeman's view, and we see a view of a policeman.
You go back, please. Gentlemen, please.
And the voice of a policeman inviting people to move back, please, in true British fashion.
And they have their work cut out for them, David. There's so many people and there's still great interest, despite the fact that the frontier has been open now for practically 3/4 of an hour.
And the cars are still streaming through, and there we see now the line of lights going up right the way back to La Linea. Another car moving through, police directing them swiftly. I wonder if George will get a chance to talk to any more people.
Not at the moment, David. Things are a bit thin where I'm standing. The crowd is beginning to thin a little, which perhaps will make me able to move again and capture a few more interviews for you.
Something that is to be borne in mind, of course, George, is we've seen caravanettes stopping at the other side of the front. In fact, I saw one turn around and move back, but no caravans will be allowed into Gibraltar. That's one of the restrictions that have been placed on entry into the Gibraltar through the land frontier. No caravans allowed into Gibraltar for obvious reasons. There just is not the space for them.
Hello.
Something else to be borne in mind is that through the technical talks that have been held on both sides of the frontier, both in La Linea and here in Gibraltar, certain rules have been drawn up to our mutual benefit. Passengers who want to travel by bus within Spain will, after crossing the frontier, take services from the bus terminal on the Spanish side. Similarly, visitors from Spain can use Gibraltar buses.
Right, David, I've got some onlookers here, some pretty faces.
We need those.
Yes, indeed. Adding a little colour to tonight. They're here to witness the opening, no doubt. Where are you from?
England. Well, Calonda. We live in Calonda. And we want to say hello to Elaine.
Well, yes, but not quite a request programme, this. But you've come over across the frontier on foot this evening?
Yes, that's right.
You haven't previously been allowed to do so?
No, never.
How's this going to affect your life, this opening?
I'm going to come to Marks and Spencer's quite a lot.
Well, obviously some very British, though they're still living on the Costa, but they're still pining for home, undoubtedly. Are you happy with the opening?
Yes, very, very. It's quite remarkable. Quite remarkable.
What do you think of the atmosphere here tonight?
Incredible. It's jolly, very jolly.
And what was the atmosphere in La Linea?
Very much the same, very much the same, if not more, Fireworks, crackers going off everywhere, quite.
So do you think that the event has got off on the right foot and that the right atmosphere has been created?
George, I've got to stop you a moment because I have just seen the first bus coming through. I was advised that this bus might come through. I understand it's coming from Sierra Nevada, and here it is just looming into the bright lights. Here it comes. The largest vehicle so far to move in, and before that an English registration Jeep, which looks more as if it's coming on safari to Gibraltar with all the attachments on the roof. There is that huge bus. In the background, the first busload of passengers into Gibraltar, and let us hope that it is the first of many. I hope, George, that you'll be able to at least get some view. There are people waving from the bus already.
Yes.
Very difficult to see with our lights because, of course, the glass is tinted, but there are young ladies waving furiously from the inside of the bus. Just about to swing round into full view. The journalists now moved away from the main area of the frontier, and here comes that Jeep with its water bottles. The Gibraltar police checking passports and documentation, as they will be doing for many years to come. The bus now swings round behind it.
Yes, and it's beginning to come now into clear view from where I'm standing. It seems at first sight to be full of loads of young people. Standing room only on that bus, obviously keen to be on this first coach into Gibraltar since the frontier has opened earlier tonight. Even hands I can see waving out of the ventilation sort of sunroofs which they have on the top of the coach.
And it seems that the crowd of people too moving from Gibraltar into Spain, the numbers are swelling. A steady flow now of journalists, expats who've come from across the way just to be the first people to move into Gibraltar via the land frontier now that those restricted categories have been relaxed.
Yes, David, many pedestrians are crossing back into Spain, and it's also interesting to note that quite a number of the cars which came into Gibraltar are now going back. I mean, you mentioned one which you saw, and the windsurfers I see are making their way back to Spain, and another of the caravanettes behind it as well.
Our cameras are moving closer now. Crews moving closer to the point of interest. Those few meters. In fact, I would venture to suggest that it's just 2 feet between the British gates and the Spanish gates. And here's that.
Right, here comes that coach, David.
Coach.
I still can't quite read the sign on the front.
The guide going hell for leather inside, advising passengers that they are the first bus load of passengers to come through from Spain. One of the occasional buses that I was mentioning earlier on. Things seem to be settling down a little now. A Range Rover just moved through into view, moving swiftly through the Gibraltar customs. And I can see that they're advertising already, a Gibraltar firm with a busload of passengers coming through from Spain into Gibraltar, possibly on their way home from the Sierra Nevada.
Yes, David, and a sign, Servicio Discrecional, I'm not quite sure how discreet it is.
Well, certainly their joy needs no discretion.
Loads of Gibraltarians on there, yes.
Very happy to be coming through at last, without having to lug all their luggage across the land frontier and arrive gasping at the Gibraltar gates.
They're taking a little longer than most cars to come through, as is only logical, given that there are many more documents to be checked on board.
Well, of course, that system will change later on tomorrow, when buses, of course, will move through the gate to the right of the one that we're watching at the moment. Of course, all passport and documentation control will be done from there to allow a free flow of smaller vehicles through, and the larger buses having to move through, as is logical, at a slower pace, because all their documentation has to be checked before they're permitted into Gibraltar. The driver is back in his seat, and here comes that mammoth on wheels. Let's hope that the bridges Gibraltar has constructed over the past 16 years can cope with that situation. We wouldn't want any of our tourists beheaded. I'd like to see that trying to get up Willis's Passage. And here comes that bus. Clapping, cheering people inside, patting the windows, waving. Busload of passengers.
Unfortunately, no open windows that we can talk to anybody through, but certainly loads of Gibraltarian faces, everybody very happy, everybody singing, waving, and the expression on their faces really says it all, David.
There's a lady there looking as she's just come back from Alaska, carrying a beautiful white carnation and waving to us through the window. Absolutely wrapped up, keeping warm. Well, she's assured of a very warm welcome in Gibraltar, even at 5 to 1 in the morning. Our first bus. And still the photographers flash away. The whirring of the cameras, as far as television is concerned, died down a little. But of course, GBC television bringing you live coverage from the frontier. I don't think anyone realized just how much happiness there would be at these frontier gates tonight. Well, he may have chorizo on the side of his van, but he's not going to be allowed to bring any chorizo through into Gibraltar.
We're going to have a word with him, David. I have him over here. ¿De dónde es usted?
De la línea.
La línea. ¿Y está usted contento de que se haya abierto la verja?
Hombre, estoy contento porque hay amistad entre todos los pueblos.
¿Y usted viene ahora a Gibraltar? ¿Has venido mucho?
Yo he venido antes andando y ahora vengo a llevar ella en casa de la hermana, que vive aquí en la laguna.
Entonces, ¿está usted contento que esto reunirá a sus familias?
Hombre, nos reunirá a la familia, por supuesto, la familia a todos los pueblos.
Gracias.
A los pueblos vecinos.
That was the gentleman there in the van you were referring to, David, whose family in Gibraltar and happy now that they'll be able to be rejoined.
It's more chorizo familia than anything else.
Here comes another gentleman in a rather bizarre outfit.
Looking
Hello,
more...
sir.
Oh, ¿qué dice? ¿Soy el primo italiano que pasa o no?
Yes, usted es italiano.
Sì, io ho passato una frontiera Ecuador, Perú, con la maleta en la carriola, ¿no?
Sí, andando.
Ahora me voy a pasar col coche.
¿Está usted contento?
Gracias, señor. Sí, señor. Sí, señor.
Right, an Italian gentleman there.
Poquito de democracia.
Huh. Yes, there we have an Italian gentleman. We've had quite a few nationalities coming through. And I can see that's a car which I saw going out, one of the first cars of the first 6 cars going out into Spain, which has come back.
In fact, that Italian gentleman looked remarkably like a younger version of Salvador Dalí.
David.
Yes, sir.
Right. With that, actually, the crowds are now thinning quite considerably here at the frontier. The journalists, the flashes not quite so constant as they were a few minutes ago. And with that, we wind up, and we thank you for having joined us this evening for this live coverage of this historic event, the full opening of the Gibraltar-Spain frontier, and the beginning of what we hope will be a new and prosperous era in Gibraltar's history. Thank you very much for being with us, and good night.
Good night from him and good night from me. A very good night to you.